Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Modern Warfare 3. The game is officially out now. It's available worldwide. People are getting their hands on the game. Lots of mixed reviews are coming in, which we will be covering in many videos going forward. But for this video today, I want to talk about Infinity Ward, because even though Modern Warfare 2 is now in the rearview mirror, Infinity Ward still finds a way to get its claws in virtually everything that's happening with Modern Warfare 3 and the Call of Duty scene as a whole. So a very interesting article was put out yesterday by Bloomberg. Now, unfortunately, Bloomberg, you have to pay to actually get access to read everything on the website itself, but the information from that article was covered by many other news sites out there, like Game Informer, Charlie Intel, Modern Warzone, two great guys right there. You know, a whole bunch of people have been covering all of this, and we got some snippets of what was in the article itself, and it just goes to show that Modern Warfare 3 was a game that really shouldn't have existed given the circumstances, and Infinity Ward themselves had a lot more to do with the game than what we might have originally thought, considering all of the changes that have happened going from Modern Warfare 2 into Modern Warfare 3. So let's just go ahead and jump into this. I'm not going to read the entire thing out to you guys, but I do want to show some snippets here because it's very interesting. After Call of Duty Vanguard, developers at Sledgehammer had originally pitched a project codenamed Anvil that would be set in the universe of the company's futuristic 2014 game Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, according to people that are familiar with the story. But before it could get very far, Project Anvil was shelved as the company was informed they were going to be working on another Modern Warfare game. Now, right there, at the time, Sledgehammer really didn't know exactly what they were going to be working on. It was intentionally left hazy and ambiguous, but they had to push out another game because right here it says, the process was hurried because this year's game was conceived to fill a gap in the release schedule following the delay of another Call of Duty title previously planned for 2023. So could that have been Treyarch's game? Maybe Treyarch's game was supposed to be coming out this year, but they decided to delay that, and instead they had to give us kind of a filler game, more of an in-between game, which turned out here to be Modern Warfare 3. An Activision spokesperson denied that Modern Warfare 3 was originally an expansion. It was always conceived to be a premium game right from the very beginning, but more than a dozen current and former COD developers say they were told at the time it was going to be an expansion. Modern Warfare 3 was just going to be an expansion to Modern Warfare 2, but they had to get the game out really quickly, and as a result, Modern Warfare 3 itself was made in just a year and a half. That explains a whole lot, doesn't it? The very rushed campaign. If you guys played through the campaign, I mean, certain parts of it were good, not going to spoil anything, but it was a very short campaign and not a lot really happened, and the ending felt very tacked on and just wasn't very good whatsoever, at least in my opinion. Of course, that's all subjective. When it comes to multiplayer, instead of having a bunch of original maps, of course, we have all the remakes of the OG Modern Warfare 2 maps. We have a bunch of older weapons also returning within the game's multiplayer. You know, looking at zombies, I played some zombies, which I will be doing a video on that, but zombies itself is just like DMZ meets Outbreak. It also feels kind of rushed. That's because Modern Warfare 3 was thrown together in a year and a half as compared to having that full 3-year development cycle that most other Call of Duty games get. Sledgehammer has been really getting screwed over the course of the past couple of years. Going to this right here, some staff at Sledgehammer had to work nights and weekends to finish the game, and they said that they felt betrayed by the company because they were promised they weren't going to have to go through another shortened timeline after the release of their previous game, Call of Duty Vanguard, which was made under a similarly constrained development cycle. For the first few months of the project, which was codenamed Jupiter, the story was conceived to be a smaller scale Modern Warfare spinoff set in Mexico that would be much more achievable on a small timeline, but in the summer of last year, Activision executives decided to reboot that entire story and then basically take what was going to be an expansion and make it a full-fledged $70 premium title. Now, where things really get spicy here, not only did they have to again make a Call of Duty title in a year and a half, but they also had to answer to Infinity Ward the entire time. Here we see developers also said they were frustrated at having to run their content by executives from Infinity Ward, the Activision studio that's normally responsible for the Modern Warfare series. Staff on the game said they dealt with inefficiencies, waiting on feedback and making significant and sometimes unwanted changes based on directives from above. So it's interesting. Going into Modern Warfare 3, the entire selling point was really, we fixed everything that Infinity Ward broke, but most of those decisions had to go through Infinity Ward themselves. I have to wonder what things were approved versus what things were not approved. You know what I mean? Here we see Charlie Intel right here. Bloomberg has stated, and Charlie Intel is going to corroborate this, that several sources are telling them that one of the changes that Infinity Ward made to Sledgehammer's Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer was removing a P10 loadout system. The new system that we have now currently in Modern Warfare 3 is a morphed version of that P10 system that Sledgehammer initially wanted to put in the Modern Warfare 3, but basically Infinity Ward said no, because for some reason, Infinity Ward just gets to run the entire project like, oh, it's Infinity Ward. You know, they make the Modern Warfare franchise. Of course they get to have a say in what goes into the Modern Warfare franchise. But dude, I'm looking at it from this perspective. The Infinity Ward that we have now is not even the original Infinity Ward. These aren't the people that made the original Modern Warfare trilogy. They're not the people that made Captain Price, the people that made Ghost and Soap and all that. Like, they're not the ones responsible for the universe. They're basically just piggybacking off the work of the original Infinity Ward team, who are now part of Respawn Entertainment, as I'm sure most of you guys know. So, like, why are they, like, being so, like, butthurt about their entire, like, oh, this is our franchise. We have a say in what you can do with your multiplayer game because you're using our name, despite the fact that it's not their name because they're not the people that made the original trilogy. You know what I mean? Like, so Infinity Ward is responsible for us not having a P10 system. And now we have this new system here in Modern Warfare 3, which in some ways is interesting. The whole gloves and the boots and the gear and then the combat vests, which get very convoluted. But at the same time, like, this system, while it does offer us much more freedom than what we had in Modern Warfare 2, the most recent one, like way more customization, way more freedom here in Modern Warfare 3, nothing really beats a P10 system. You know, really picking the perks that you want, really picking the attachments you want. Like, and mind you, we're going to have like Gunsmith in this game, so every gun can have up to 5 attachments on it, and that obviously would just make things kind of crazy when it comes to P10 in terms of customization and all the different things they could do with that. But Infinity Ward said no. And I'm wondering, what other things did Infinity Ward say no to that could have possibly been in Modern Warfare 3? It really just goes to show, and people like industry insiders and people in the know and people on social media that like really have like relationships with these developers, or they know a lot of people behind the scenes, they firmly believe that Modern Warfare 3 was a game that never should have existed given the short window that they had to actually put everything together. They had to have all hands on deck pretty much to get Modern Warfare 3 out, which in some ways is why the campaign feels the way that it does, which is why sometimes in the multiplayer we have all these issues. Like, for example, the freaking EOD perk just doesn't even work in multiplayer for some reason. And then there's this pair of gloves that's supposed to make it so you can throw back grenades faster, but it also makes your grenades cook faster, which causes a lot of people to blow themselves up. There's a bunch of bugs, there's a bunch of issues with Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer, which is not uncommon for a new release, but then zombies also feeling rushed. Like, basically, this was supposed to be an expansion. Activision was like, nope, it's gonna be a full game. And by the way, that like short little small story you planned on doing, no, we're gonna revamp all of that. And you guys like Warzone, right? You guys like DMZ? Well, we're gonna make the campaign basically Warzone or DMZ and have people just run around the open world. You know, that all comes from Activision. And then changes to the create class system, that came from Infinity Ward. So what? Like, everything that's good about Modern Warfare 3 is coming from Sledgehammer? That's kind of how it's sounding right now. It sounds like Sledgehammer got the short end of the stick here, but they still were able to put out a game where they listened to player feedback and they made changes that players wanted. And sure, there's plenty of things I would change about the game, but it really sounds like, based on the article here and based on the industry insiders that are talking about this, it sounds like Sledgehammer are really the good guys here in the grand scheme of things. I mean, who would have thought after all these years, Activision and Infinity Ward are actually the bad guys when it comes to Call of Duty development and when it comes to things that happen within the Call of Duty scene? I mean, color me surprised, man. I am absolutely shocked and appalled that may actually be the case, but I want to cover that here in the video today, because as we're all getting acquainted with Modern Warfare 3, and believe me, I have so many videos planned, so many things written down, like so much to talk about. You know, in the wake of all of that, I wanted to not brush over the fact that as we're playing this game, we got a bunch of information from industry insiders, current developers, former developers, people that actually made the game, as to what it was like to make the game, and apparently it was hell. It was developmental hell, and I'm going to end the video off on this. Rushing your developers to push out products is going to do nothing besides make the product worse. That's exactly what happens, right? Because if you're just on such a crunch that you're working overtime, you're missing time with your friends and family, like you're just working all the time on something that you're supposed to be passionate about, over time, that passion goes away, and I think we can see that reflected, not just in Modern Warfare 3. I mean, Modern Warfare 3 so far has been actually pretty good. I think there's a lot of attention to detail there, but you guys know what I mean. Like, over time, passion can just go away if you're being worked too hard on something that you're supposed to be passionate and creative. You know, this is not like stacking lumber. You know, we're not like changing tires or freaking like, you know, laying bricks or anything like that. Like, what they're doing is an art form. And when you have Bobby Kotick putting you nose to the grindstone all the time, and then the guys at Infinity Ward saying, no, no, this is our franchise, you're not allowed to do that, it really kind of kills that vision that the studio had, and it really kills the creativity, and it really changes what they could have done into what Activision really wants. And I'm really not a fan of that. So I guess we're gonna have to see if anything is gonna be changing now that Microsoft has taken over and like the old heads are kind of like on their way out of Activision Blizzard. Hopefully it does, because obviously we love the COD franchise. You won't be watching this video, especially this long in, if you did not love the COD franchise. And when the developers are being worked to the bone to push out a game just because they don't want to admit that they could have just done an expansion to Modern Warfare 2, but rather they want to sell that full $70 price tag and everything, like, it's shitty. It's really shitty for those people, not to mention they had to do the exact same thing with Call of Duty Vanguard. So that's 2 games in a row. Like, those poor Sledgehammer devs, like, imagine if they were just allowed to like do their own thing. I mean, Call of Duty World War II was the last time they were able to do that, and honestly, I think World War II is a fantastic game. Some of you are going to disagree for sure, but things like the headquarters, the revamped credit class system with the divisions after they overhauled everything based on player feedback, like, that game had a lot of soul. And I feel like most recent Call of Duty titles don't have that same soul or that same passion to it anymore, because again, these devs across the entire board, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, Raven, Treyarch, like everybody, I think they're just being way overworked, and they have too many deadlines where they have to get everything done so much, and they're working with all these different studios just to push out a new COD every single year, when that doesn't necessarily have to happen, and it doesn't have to be that way. But again, there's now new leadership at Activision Blizzard, so we're gonna have to see what, if anything, is going to change. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this video right now. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments. Be sure to subscribe if you're new around here, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.